The live stream of tonight's podcast is made possible by our buddy Ian Service over at podcastaccelerator.com.
Al.
Alrighty.
An ambitiously amazing allotment of all-around awesome achievement.
Because?
A bigger, better, besto, boisterous bacchanalia, and brazen bedlam.
Continue.
Clever comedic conversation by constantly cunning characters in a completely captivating community.
Dogs?
Definitely dogs, definitely drinking, definitely darts.
Enjoy.
Exceptional examples of entertainment excellence to everyone's elation.
Freaks?
Still not a thing.
Go on.
Gladly. Got good gals, good guys, good gang, good enough.
Hey, how about...
Hilarious humor? Hardest hits? How are you now? Have it here.
Interesting.
Indeed it is.
Jay?
Geez, one job, Al.
Katie?
Can confirm. Katie keeps coming, Katie keeps kicking, Katie keeps killing it.
Legendary?
Loads of limitless laughs like legitimately lethal levels of ludicrous litness.
Maybe.
Make the most of the massively monumental matter of the materialization of...
New.
Nicely noted. Now, naturally, newness needs a nuanced narrative. Nevertheless, no need neglecting the niceties.
Oh?
Oftentimes, only an optimum observation in our online occasion or otherwise.
Podcast.
Precisely, a podcast of a produce persuasion. Perhaps one produced by the paragon and pinnacle of prize-winning podcastery.
Q-tips?
Quite quickly, the quandary of quality Q words.
Ready?
Recap, rate, and rank. Rightly realizing requisite reviewing requires rounding up the regulars.
So...
Send a sign, seek the squad, set your spatulas to stun, starting with the sublime synthesis of sweet and sass.
Tanya?
Totes. Then take the time to throw the titan of ticky takedowns and tempestuous terror in there. Undoubtedly, unequivocally, unmistakably, the undeniable ultimate in umbrage.
Victor.
Verily, very vocal, very vindictive, very vicious, very Victor.
Well?
Well, what? Why are we waiting? What else we want?
Excited?
Extremely.
You?
Yep.
Well then. Zig?
Zag.
Zoom.
That fresh produce stand there, that's a beauty.
What do you listen to?
My favorite murder podcast.
Taggart and Torrance podcast.
The produce stand.
Fucking sexy.
It's Thirsty Thursday. That means we are once again hanging out at the Produce Stand, a podcast covering everything in the universe. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are many other Letterkenny podcasts out there, but this one is all dressed. I'm Al, your host, and joining me in the room as always is lovely Tanya, and online we have Squirrely Matt and the versatile Victor, and joining us this week, he's a high school history teacher from the Jersey Shore, and don't get him started on his nut milk sack because he'll tell you all about it and even send you pictures. He's a patron, a longtime member of the DMZ Gens, and a great guy. He's a really great guy. Please join me in making some noise for Mike.
Wondrous!
Oh my gourd.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Wait. Oh my god! Oh my god!
I regret nothing!
Welcome to the Produce Stand, Mike. How are you now?
Good, and you?
Not so bad. Welcome back. I feel like we just had you for the holiday episodes, but we owed you a solo episode for a Letterkenny episode. So welcome to the Produce Stand.
Glad to be back.
So,
vacation week too, so you got some extra time.
Yeah, perfect. Everything worked out really well. So since you're not new, we're just going to jump right into it.
How are you now?
Tonight's lineup is Al, Victor, Tanya, Matt, and our guest Mike. We'll have the last word. It's been so long since we've done this, but anyway, here we are. I start with me, I guess. This week, we've had a heck of a week. I mean, not only, it's been Christmas and all the holidays and stuff like that, and we're still getting over kind of our sickies and stuff like that, but we've had 3 sluts on the podcast in the last week. That's crazy. Max Bouffard, Terry Ryan, and
do you feel dirty?
Yes, a little dirty. And just today, Dolo, like we just finished talking to Dolo a couple hours ago, and wait till you hear that one. That one's like, he was great. And we have Michaels booked for next, I think it's Tuesday. So Mark Michaels next Tuesday.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and we've got exciting more like guests lined up. We haven't scheduled them yet, but it's been amazing. It's all been Shoresy, which is great because everyone's thirsty for more Shoresy content. But also Christmas Day in Canada, season 11 dropped. Show of hands, who watched every episode already? No, Matt, you didn't?
I've done 2. I'll admit I've done 1 and 2
Oh, wow.
twice.
Okay.
But I've not gotten further yet.
Well, Mike and I have watched them all through once, and I've watched the first one, the one we're reviewing tonight, Chips, probably 5 times now. And let me tell you, getting ready for tonight's episode, I completely forgot how much work this was. I like, what a busy day for me, considering it's an off day. But preparing for Dolo and then recording Dolo and making sure that got posted and preparing for this today, man, I'm a little tired, actually. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's been fun, and we're getting a lot of great feedback from Terry Ryan, from Max Bouffard. I can't imagine that Dolo is going to be any different. Feel like the year's ending off really well for our podcast, and hopefully, the beginning of 2023, it's just going to keep rolling. So, nothing but good. Oh, and yesterday we had lunch together for the first time in a while. It was good to see Victor in person, and good to see that he's alive. And I was able to get you some of the swag and gifts that we received from Billy and Aaron and Miriam all those weeks ago. So anyway, that's been my kind of couple of weeks. Victor, how about you?
Yeah, I'm great. Nice to have that stupid virus behind me, and it's been a great week. Have all this time off from work, so I've been meeting up with some friends, with some DJs, and
which ones do we fall into?
Yeah, and watching some shows.
He's ignoring that one, eh?
Right past that.
Right past it.
And again, just dumbfounded by just the kindness of the community, and Miriam and Aaron, and Bill Buttery, and like it's just incredible. And then I wasn't on the Terry Ryan interview, but I listened to that today, and boy, was that a fun listen. And then follow that up with sitting down with Dolo. I mean, holy crap! I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, it's an embarrassment of riches right now. Yeah,
yeah. What the hell did we do to deserve that?
Yeah.
So, so I'm just happy that we're able to share that with the world, and we're not keeping it to ourselves.
Yes, for sure. And the Dolo interview will go live on our regular feed next Thursday, but right now it's for patrons only. So I hope our patrons are enjoying that one. Tanya, how have you been?
Yeah, Santa came to everyone's basket there with all the sluts that we've been given. It was a great Christmas holiday. We actually went back to normalcy and had 19 people to celebrate Christmas Eve.
And 19?
Yeah, we went, or 18, something like that. Went back to our old traditions and played a gift giving game, and that is always so much fun, and seeing family that we haven't seen over the course of 2 years, I suppose. So that was a real great treasure, and felt wonderful. Oh my goodness, we're getting ready to go celebrate New Year's on Saturday. Really excited about that, playing some minute to win it games to spice up the holiday and festivities, and looking forward to having friends over for that fun event. It's just been work and kids home and tobogganing and hurting ourselves doing that. And
there wasn't quite enough snow, so going down our toboggan hill the other day was a little rougher than we're used to, but it was still fun.
Took out a right hip and a right shoulder.
Yeah.
But it was
you
all
want
good.
to spice it up, a minute won't cut it, apparently.
No, okay. Anyway, Matt, how have you been?
I'm all right, man. It's been great. I completely forgot that Christmas even happened. It's all been a fucking blur, but it's been good.
How's your little guy doing?
He's a shithead. I love him, but he's he's fine. Like health wise, he's fine. He's fallen into some really annoying habits this week, where suddenly he doesn't want to sleep anymore. And that's been
overrated.
A blast. And it started Christmas Eve. I don't know. The only I can gather is maybe he was excited. I mean, he's 3. I didn't think he'd actually understand this much, but he woke up at 4 a.m. on Christmas and did not go back to bed. So that was fun. We tried.
Did you give him some alcohol? Apparently that works.
Yeah. I've almost pulled out the chloroform, but didn't think that would be okay.
Oh, wow.
So, but no, it was fun. It was fun. He loved it. He got spoiled. Because I have two older guys that live primarily with their mother. This was not my year for Christmas with them, so I haven't seen them yet. I'm actually getting them tomorrow, so we're gonna do a second mini Christmas tomorrow when they come, and then I have them for the full week. So very much looking forward to that.
Nice.
So yeah, that'll be fun.
They can tire out the little guy then.
Yeah.
So he can sleep through the night.
God, I hope so. They just need to run.
We got some suggestions of Jack Daniels for the kids or Benadryl. Matt, Benadryl.
Yeah. I've actually heard that one. I'm at this point, I'm willing to give it a try. So drug your kids, everyone. So here we go. The quick shout out to Liz and Trace on that opening.
Oh man,
my God, they wrote that.
Set the spatulas to stun is my favorite line of the whole thing, though. That was
holy fuck. It's and congrats, you had me tongue twisted. If you heard the first reading that I sent to Al, it was a mess, and I was cursing you both with nothing but love. But it was so much fun. So great job, guys. And actually, it's the first time I've heard it all together. And it turned out fantastic.
So the writing was incredible.
Mhm.
The execution was incredible. Can you imagine? And this is the thing about acting, right?
Whole new
Can you
respect.
imagine memorizing
memorize
that
that,
and delivering
yeah.
it without
Memorizing it.
notes?
Can you imagine?
No, not at all. I wouldn't be able to memorize that shit.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I think I even said it at one point in the cuts. I'm like, I have a whole new respect for what they do.
Yeah, there's songs my band has played for the last 2 years that I still need like my tablet for. I don't memorize shit anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'm too old for that.
It was wild, but well done. Mad respect to the both of you putting that together.
You guys are incredible.
Yeah.
Keep
Absolutely.
challenging us. It's so much fun.
Mike, how have you been, bud? How was your Christmas?
Good. Christmas was good. Christmas Eve, we had my parents and my brother over for some lasagnas, which just finished the leftover lasagna yesterday.
Yum.
And lasagna is 100% better leftover than it is the day of.
It is. You're right.
Then we did Christmas, here and at my mom's for their presents, and then went out to my wife's sister. They're back in town from Texas briefly. They're leaving tomorrow again. So we stopped there. That's where we had dinner. And then it's just been kind of a, mix of days because the days don't count between the two holidays for teachers, especially. They all run together. So I had lunch today with an old college friend, and that was fun. And pretty much just low-key in it the whole week.
That's cool. All right. Well, I mean, it sounds like we're all doing well, but maybe we could use a little coffee. Now, here's the thing. I've been so busy that I haven't been able to get a new Diabolical coffee ad yet. So why don't we listen to a classic and take it from there? And whenever you hear 10%, you should, just replace that with 20%
Substitute for 20
in your mind. Okay, here we go.
Just like Skodude energy drink, Diabolical Coffee has a new spokesperson, me. Diabolical Coffee is devilishly good coffee and diabolically awesome swag. There is a roast for all tastes and even some you didn't know you wanted. You can order whole bean, coarse, and standard grind, and espresso. Or if you're like Al and me, there's a K-Cup option for single cup brewers. And for the duration of season 10 of our podcast, you can use the promo code PRODUCESTAND for 10% off anything in the store. That's 10% off all coffee and merch. Thank you to Diabolical Coffee and to Eric for your support.
Yes, thank you, Eric. And I can't believe that was only from season 10. It feels like so long ago that we haven't heard that ad, but I guess it has been that long since we did Letterkenny season 10. It would have been last year this time. So speaking of support, welcome to new Twitter followers: Colt Smith Briggs, Matt Bailey from Indiana, Tanya Monroe, JT from the Bean Cave, Dan Bean Sports, New Year, New Bort, Scott Sanders from Launceston, Tasmania in Australia. I think that might be our first listener from Tasmania. Mimi Bob, MJRSTL, Joe Drake from Fort Myers, Florida, Stuck in Phone 79 from Arkansas, Brock Big Richard Purdy fan from Kirkland, Washington. Is that like just a generic name for a city in Washington? Cody Green, Brian Weigel from Cincinnati, Ohio, Lane Laughing Louder from Colorado, Mimi Calderon from Phoenix, content content with my content from the United States. The Big Sports Guy 72 from Edmonton, Terra Incognita from Cleveland, Rips Rant from Soul Backroad, Clinton Haynes from another Tasmanian. So we're big in Tasmania now. Scott Edgecombe from Huntsville and Toronto, Matt Ken O from Burnsville, Minnesota, Larry K, Shannon Loves Horror. Finally, we get to Shannon from South Jersey, Philly, or Philly. Jody, Frank Trend from Rivers, Nigeria, Marty Huggins, Trump Sucks, Beers and Beards, Zoe Timberwolf, Fernando Ochoa from Manhattan, Kansas. I didn't know it was a Manhattan in Kansas. Sarah M, My Info, Big C, Snarls Barkley, we finally got to them. The USF Positive View from Baymaid Bay State. Tim Woolridge from Somewhere in the World. Ray Watkins, Mike from West Virginia. Bill Chenot, Don, Gary, Kenny from A Place Long Forgotten. Banditone from Stecker, Oklahoma. Sheldon Brown, Marteem, and QC Mike 13. Thank you for following and hopefully for listening.
How are you doing on that list?
On the Letterkenny.
Still not putting a dent in it. Last week, we held our holiday egg haul social with a bunch of our DGen listeners. This week, we begin our coverage of Letterkenny Season 11, beginning with Episode 1, Chips. And I'm going to ask a question I haven't asked in a while. I've done my homework. Victor, have you done your homework?
It is.
Tanya, have you done your homework?
Once.
Matt, have you done your homework? Twice. Mike, have you done your homework?
3 times.
3 times. So.
Well, don't bore us. Get to the chorus.
Here we go. This is the longest I've had to read something for a while. So if I stop to cough every once in a while, please forgive me. We open with a classic Letterkenny problems open with Wayne and Derry trading off problems like, for example, smelling Gap Dream at a bar the other night that you got as hard as old sugar, or your friend's dad calling a squirrel a bush shrimp, and which is pretty funny. And here's a taste of the actual clip here.
Your dog ripped a fart so thick you could hang an axe in the air after.
You don't have a lady in your life, but you do have a pal who blows on his food to cool it down, so tomato, tomato.
Well, you sure catch a lot of heat for your farmer's tan, but have you never seen a roofer's tan? Like, holy fuck.
Your gal wants to start an OnlyFans page, but even Netflix is losing subs, and she can't compete with Ozark.
Whole world's all ifs and buts at the moment, but if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, you'd have nuts where your butts were before.
And then you cue the theme. So that's the cold open, a pretty kind of classic Letterkennian kind of cold open. So I guess we start with me, and I say it's a classic cold open. Nothing too spectacular about it. Just the back and forth between Wayne and Derry. There's some funny stuff in there, but pretty forgettable cold open in my opinion. It was just kind of just there, but it felt like home anyway. So not a bad way to kick off a long-awaited season 11. Victor, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, exactly the same. If this is your first time watching Letterkenny, this could have been the first, cold open ever. And it's exactly the kind of cold open where some people kind of fall over heels over it because of the quick talk and the cleverness of it. And they love it. They just fall in love with it. And for me, I'm just thinking, yeah, that's cool. It's the problem is like it goes by too quickly. You don't have time to really appreciate it even because by the time you start breaking down what they just said, they're on to the fourth thing already. Right. Yeah. So unless you're sitting there and really, rewatching it over and over again, it's not the Michael's always hitting the mark kind of thing. It goes by. So like people love it. I get it. For me, it's there. It's cold open, and it's the one that you expect to hear every single episode. And they did it. They nailed it, and I'm just okay with it.
Okay, 10.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Sorry, daydreaming. You guys pretty much said it already. There wasn't anything over and above with it. It was just the two guys, bantering back and forth. I always get it so much better and clearer in my headphones listening back to it here than I do actually watching it. Because when I'm watching it on the TV, I don't get a whole lot of what's being said. Like there's a few here and there that I grab, but to hear every single word very clearly and very distinctly, it's listening to it here. And you're like, oh, is that what they were saying? I always kind of have that moment.
Well, I mean,
I think I need to start watching it through my headphones.
There's two kinds of people in the world, right? Those who rewatch Letterkenny episodes and those who don't. So I believe you're rewarded on a rewatch when you listen to these things, right? Matt, what did you think?
Yeah, I don't know what else to add. I mean, you guys are spot on. It was very classic. It took me right back to the web shows. Some great jokes in there. The bush shrimp and the balls where your butts were before, whatever that is so stupid. But I fucking died when he said that. I'm like, that is amazing. Yeah, it's not amazingly memorable, but it's like you said it best. It's home. We're comfortable with this kind of dialogue. Plays well to the audience. There's some good laughs in there. But they're not going above and beyond to create a largely memorable moment here.
In the live stream, YYZ Gord says captions help, and they do, as long as you don't mind reading at the lightning place that they deliver the lines at.
Yeah.
But I also found, though, because, well, for the first episode anyway, when I was writing my script, in the past, the captions haven't been very accurate. In this episode so far, super accurate. Like I didn't see any mistakes in these captions.
And I do recommend, if you ever have time to I watch TV with my headphones all the time, to be honest. I'm a bit of a night hawk and I wake up very early, so I will very often keep my headphones right beside the TV, hook up my Bluetooth, and I'll watch whatever I want. And I agree, I can always follow along with anything I'm watching far better when I'm just in my own isolation pod, taking it in.
Yeah. Mike, what did you think of the cold open?
Absolutely the same thing that everyone else said. It's classic. It's the way they started the whole thing on YouTube. And it's good. You know, it's a nice warm remembrance of the earlier days, I guess. Some of them hit really well. You know, for me, like the Edmonton one, about wanting to give your girl the world, but only supporting Edmonton. I mean,
that's a good one. Yeah. I mean, individually, they're all really good lines, right?
The only fans was especially funny, I thought. But some of them, like the back cracking and the roofer's tan, it didn't really hit for me. I didn't really know where they were going with that. But otherwise, it's pretty standard.
All right, so we move on to season 1. Squirrely Dan runs into Modine's 3 in a panic, holding a bag of chips. Gail is at the bar with Wayne, Derry, Rosie, and Katie. They turn around to see what the fuss is with Squirrely Dan. He throws his bag of chips at Katie and tells her to take a look. Katie is shocked. She passes the bag to Rosie, who's also shocked. She passes it to Derry, who seems to have trouble reading the contents of the bag. Gail can't stand the weight. She demands to know what it says. Squirrely Dan warns that this could easily spirals into hysterics if they don't practice stoicisms. Just then, Rold and Stewart storm in with a bag of chips of their own.
Tell us what chip is the best chip of all time. And these guys will let you design your own flavor of chip.
We all knew this was coming.
Well, all the signs were there.
Wait, what are the rules?
As Mike holds up a bag of hers, salt and vinegar. Thank you. Salt and Vinnies. Derry looks at his bag again, but again has trouble reading it. Did we miss something? Is Derry illiterate? Like, have we gone 11 seasons without noticing this? Like, I know he has a hard time with certain words like prefix and basket, basket. But is it because he's literate, or maybe because he's
it's been proposed that he is
dyslexic? Maybe. Yeah,
I mean, it could be.
Yeah, but he's having a hard time reading that chip bag. Anyway, Gail finally grabs the bag from Derry and she reads the rules for him.
Only classic Canadian flavors consisting of 2 or less ingredients shall be considered. Plain, salt and vinegar, barbecue, sour cream and onion, dill pickle, ketchup.
Better not forget those fucking all-dressed chips.
Wayne, all dress consists of more than 2 ingredients.
So now's we're shaming chips for being too dressed?
I'm used to shaming them for not being dressed enough.
All dressed chips shall be excluded.
For obvious reasons, Wayne.
Excluding the chip doesn't stop it from being the greatest chip of all time, Derry.
Wayne, this is no time for pride. It's bedlam out there.
No one loves chips like small towns.
Not one other tribe, nor person, nor posse.
By the way, I have a bowl of Ruffles all-dressed chips here that I'm
You mean salt and vinegar with a zing?
All dressed.
I thought you were bringing the bag down.
I was gonna, but because they seem to have some kind of deal with Old Dutch, and I prefer Ruffles all dressed. But anyway, here we go. Everyone becomes increasingly riled up. Squirrely Dan says the American Revolutionary War was in no small part because of Great Britain calling chips crisps, and that's really hurting Mike as a history teacher, I'm sure. Derry says the War of 1812 was crinkle cut versus classic cut. Is that true, Mike? No, not true.
Totally.
Katie says Manifest Destiny wasn't even a thing until the Yanks caught wind of Canadians fucking around with exotic flavors up here. Mike's head's going to explode. Through all this arguing, Wayne has remained very quiet, so Squirrely Dan calls upon him to respond.
I'm so fired up right now. I got sweat rolling down the small of my back and into my ass crack. It's emotional. But someone's got to stay focused through the fuss. Someone's got to lead.
I nominate Stuart.
I nominate anyone else.
What are we gonna do, Wayne?
Only thing we can do. Have a fishbowl discussion.
So, production note, because I didn't know what this was. I don't know if you guys do, but a fishbowl discussion is a strategy for organizing medium to large group discussions. Usually you have students separated into an inner and outer circle. In the inner circle or fishbowl, students have the discussion, while the students on the outer circle listen to the discussion and take notes. So I learned something new in this episode. Mike, did you know what a fishbowl discussion was?
I've heard of it. I've never used it. It doesn't really work super well in high school, I don't think, but it may.
Sounds elitist.
Sounds elitist.
I think that's more of a college.
College.
Well, I mean that alone answers my question about that fishbowl and why no one else was saying anything. If that is truly the intent.
Yeah, if you're not part of the inner circle, then you're elitism.
My old company, we had an office called the Fishbowl. But that's just because they had windows everywhere.
Yeah, we had something like that. Wasn't it called the lobster cage or something like that? I forget, but yeah, same thing. Anyway, scene 2. Ron and Dax, they're working out at the gym doing some fancy tandem push-ups. One of the D-gens, Alistair Orson Westwood Yates, comments on how short Ron's shorts are for someone who calls himself a man, and Ron claps back by saying he's paying a lot of attention to his shorts for someone who calls himself straight. The D-Gen leaves, but he's replaced by Riley and Jonesy, who comment on Ron and Dax's exercise technique. Dax says it's a new program. They want to look like porn stars. Riley says they already kind of do. Jonesy agrees. Enter Glenn wearing a bike helmet and gloves and biking shorts, but a collared short-sleeved shirt with a tie. Glenn agrees that they already look like porn stars. Ron and Dax thank Glenn, but Glenn clarifies that wasn't a compliment because they look like straight male porn stars, and then goes on to list a bunch of them with input from both Riley and Jonesy, like Shane Diesel, Sean Lawless, Johnny Sins. I'm not going to admit to looking these up, but I may have looked some of them up. Anyway, Ron is confused. To him, a porn star is a porn star is a porn star. Glenn snorts, laughs at the insinuation. Not when it comes to the flawless male physique, it tain't. Ron and Dax agree that with Glenn's help, they start naming off male gay porn stars like Johnny Rapid, Buck Richards, Pierce Paris, JJ Knight. Can you imagine researching for this script? It's crazy.
I was waiting for Victor to chime in, with his past career.
I mean, oh my goodness. This is the most ridiculous, nonsensical thing I've seen so far in the show.
All right. Riley, okay. Let's
all right, let's go get through your thing.
Riley interrupts the gay porn star Jag with a very pertinent question.
Hey, Glenn.
Oh, Hockey, I forgot about you.
How do you know so much about gay male porn stars?
Pourquoi?
Just, we know why Ron and Dax know so much about gay male porn stars.
Because we're homos.
Not sure that's PC, but you said it.
Gay as the day is long.
All new levels of gay.
Straight up the ass.
But for you to know so much about gay porn stars...
Gay male porn stars.
Yes, for you to know so much about gay male porn stars, it would suggest...
That I've done my research? Jonesy, I'm not sure if this is your first time throwing some weights around, but in the fitness community, we have something called goals. We also have a little thing called a Fitspo. So what I like to do is I set my goals, I gather up my Fitspo, and then I go about trying to achieve my goals.
All right, since I'm not in the fitness community, I looked up Fitspo, and it is a thing.
I looked it up as well. I had no idea what the fuck he was saying.
Never heard of that word before.
Fitspo is short for Fitspiration, which is also not a word, but anyway.
Never heard of that.
And Fitspiration is a person or thing that serves as motivation for someone to sustain or improve health and fitness. So it's a combination
Fitness,
of
inspiration, Fitspiration, Fitspo.
Fitspo. So that's what Fitspo means. Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing. Like, who knew? I didn't know. Anyway,
it's like your dream. It's like your fitness dream board.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it is. So, as an example, Glenn whips out a male gay porn magazine as an example of his Fitspo. His goal is the whole aesthetic, and Ron and Dax get excited when he stops at the word whole, but then seem disappointed when he finishes his sentence. Aesthetic. Oh, and there's a train going by, so now Victor's getting excited.
That's my Fitspo.
There you go. Glenn flips through the gay porn magazine and points out pages of different porn actors that he aspires to look like. Riley and Jonesy have had enough and walk away, leaving Ron and Dax to help Glenn attain his Fitspo. So, scene 3. A large crowd is gathered at the Ukrainian Hall for the fishbowl discussion on chips. It's quite the turnout. The inner circle features the Hicks plus Rosie, Rold, and Stewart, with Gail acting as moderator. Gail announces that in order to arrive at the conclusion of what the best chip ever is in an effort to be able to design their own chip flavor, they will now hold a fishbowl discussion on the matter. Wayne starts the proceeding off by thanking Gail for acting as moderator and procuring the Ukrainian Hall for their proceedings. Why they didn't just do it in the bar is beyond me, but anyway, everyone applauds Gail.
Okay, pause.
Mm-hmm.
Did they gather together to argue on what is the best chip flavor or on coming up with a new chip flavor?
Both.
In order the whole thing, it's already confusing.
But
it's already confusing.
That's the problem with only watching
one.
Yeah.
They had to agree on one before they could even begin to think about the second.
Yeah. See, that's the problem with only watching it once. If you need to watch it repeated times to get all the dialogue.
No, that's flawed. That's flawed thinking.
It was a contest to see who would be able to, right? It was a contest. Come up with the best chip, and then they come with the flavor. So, yeah, it wasn't clear one time.
It wasn't clear. It wasn't clear. I don't care how many times you watch it. It's not clear what the contest
was. I understood the rules.
Okay, Matt. What's the contest, Matt?
Okay, Victor. Okay.
What's the contest? Say it now.
They just had to declare what they thought was the best chip, and then once they did that, they then could come up with their own limited 2-ingredient chip to then create.
Yeah.
That was the reward. If you were able to, I think the fact that they had to choose the best chip was really an irrelevant.
That was just a lead to the discussion.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a voting process, but it was irrelevant to the ultimate decision. It was just your entry into the thing, but they took that extra serious, which put them in the fishbowl.
Yeah. So Hoopla Supreme, that's Liz, said she was confused about it too. Gord says the contest was silly, but it's a comedy show. Yeah, exactly. So
the whole fishbowl discussion was not about creating a new chip. It was about what is the best chip.
But they took it too seriously. They couldn't even begin to think about what chip they were going to create
if they couldn't agree.
No, they already knew what they were going to create because they were basically all at the very end of it all. They were like, it's Caesar. And they had already had that decided.
The first part.
Yeah, sounds
the
disgusting.
requirement is you have to declare a best chip.
Yeah.
They already had the new chip. They all agreed to it.
Let's save some of that for the discussion. I feel like there's going to be lots of it. Anyway,
we're breaking format already. It's been a while.
The discussion begins with plain chips, or as Stuart refers to them, regular chips.
I prefer train trips.
This gets Squirrely Dan's ire up, and he threatens to call Stuart regulars. Stuart argues that plain is misleading because of the drizzle of salt on the chip. Katie says that drizzles of salt pales by comparison to other flavors. Rosie doesn't think there's one person in the room that would take a plain chip over flavors. Derry puts his hand up. He says he would. The entire room gasps.
And I'll say this. You could call it regular, but I call it classic.
I don't even know. Let him speak. Let the man speak.
It doesn't need to go there. It never needs to go there.
You just want your chips all dolled up and camera ready. I just want a chip to sit on the sofa with. Catch a flick. Shoot the breeze.
But
fuck it. Could be the first chip I ever had. And I'm not going to turn my back on it. Because it never turns back on me.
Waynes, he's been awful quiet through all this.
Derry, I know you go a long way back with the chip.
So do you.
So do I. But I look over at you here and like how soon we forget, old friend, all those sleepovers, kindergarten through grade 2. you and me used to add a couple things into a bag of plain chips in an effort to make our own homemade chip. Derry, why don't you tell the group what those 2 things were?
Salt and vinegar.
What?
Gotta take some air.
Derry storms out of the hall for some air. That begins a discussion on Salt and Vinny's. A murmur of discussion begins in the crowd. Stewart says it's a chip that won't be pushed around. Katie says, why do you think Doritos never fucked with it? Gail, as the moderator, reminds the group that corn chips have no place in this discussion. Rosie says it's a versatile chip, like Victor. Gail asks her to explain on that. Rosie says, throw it in with some popcorn or pretzels. From the distance, we hear Derry add peanut butter, peanut M&Ms as he retakes a seat in the fishbowl, much to the crowd's astonishment. Wayne stands, gives him low bones as he sits. Wayne keeps a reassuring hand on Derry's knee as Rosie continues her defense of Salt and Vinny's. They play by the rules. They don't try to steal the spotlight. Wayne adds it's a respectful chip. But Stewart offers to say what everyone is thinking. Squirrely Dan strongly suggests Stewart holds his tongue. Gail urges Stewart to proceed.
That chip is inconsistent.
You son of a bitch! I have relied on that chip my whole life.
Which chip, Dan? You never know which one you're getting. And that's the problem. You're pulling out one that's maybe a little too salt and vinegary. Next thing you know, you've got one that's not very salt and vinegary at all.
Gales, I sense an edge of confrontations in the gentleman's tone.
One's got enough salt and vinegar to prune your lips for the better part of 48 hours. The next one may as well be...
Don't you dare.
Regular.
Prepare to meet your maker!
Wayne jumps up to stop Squirrely Dan from attacking Stewart, who also springs to his feet to fight. Wayne suggests Squirrely Dan go outside to get some air. He agrees, but not before scaring Stewart back into his chair. With Squirrely Dan's departure, Gail announces the next chip flavor, barbecue. The whole crowd continues their discussion. Next scene, scene 4, back at the gym. Glenn is working out between Ron and Dax, still wearing his button-up short-sleeve shirt and a tie. Riley and Jonesy approach again.
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, Glensky. Bart, Arnie.
We just wanted to say, sorry if we were kind of weird earlier when you were able to list the names of so many gay male porn stars.
Yes, and again when you had a gay male porno magazine on your person.
You know, I don't know what a person has on their person is any of your concern.
Exactly. What a person keeps on their person is none of anybody's business or what they do in the privacy of their own home.
Yes, I mean, a person's preferences is none of anybody's business. So you do you, bro.
Do you mean to tell me that you've never been watching a porn and said to yourself, not good. That man or young adult portraying an adolescent or actual adolescent portraying a stepson has an extraordinary physique.
No.
All porn stars are pretty shredded, so they're pretty much interchangeable after a certain point. Pretty much don't even notice the dude anymore.
Exactly. I don't even notice the girl.
Although I'll take pause to acknowledge a nice wrench, though.
Yes, if he has a massive wrench, you gotta pause for a stick tap.
Stick tap. Glenn tells Riley and Jonesy that they're on the same page then. So next time they're searching for shredded dudes for their Fitspo, maybe they can change up their porn searches a little bit. Riley, Jonesy, Ron, and Dax all agree it's good to mix things up. But then Glenn takes things. Well, let's hear from Glenn.
What is wrong with searching massive cock drill's tiny hole, huh? What's wrong with it?
Nothing, buddy.
Then what's wrong with searching two massive cocks drill tiny hole, huh? What's wrong with it?
Not a thing in the world, bro.
Okay, well then what's wrong with searching two handsome, muscular men with massive cocks, not touching each other or anything, but definitely no girls, huh? What's wrong with it?
Nothing.
What's wrong with searching two handsome, muscular men, massive cocks, going all the way with each other with no one else around, huh? What's wrong with it?
Glenn, are you...
What, always on the lookout for long-lasting, relentless, repetitive, high-intensity, ads-free Fitspo? You're GD right, I am.
Okay, Glenn.
Riley and Jonesy leave, and Glenn continues by asking Ron and Dax what is wrong with getting your prostate checked by a couple of times a week by someone who isn't a doctor. Next scene 5. Back at the Ukrainian hall, Squirrely Dan comes in from getting air. He and Stuart exchange conciliatory looks before he sits back in his chair. The discussion continues with dill pickle chips. Squirrely Dan is glad he came back for this one. There was a buzz in the room as everyone discusses. Wayne and Katie look at each other. Wayne points to Katie as if to ask if she's okay. Katie brings up dill pickle Pringles, but Stuart objects because Pringles are not a chip. Derry calls Pringles crackers. Squirrely Dan calls them crispers. Wayne settles with part chip, part cracker, all snack. Gail agrees. Rosie argues that Pringles don't have the same advantages as other chips. Rold scoffs, saying they're more advantaged, even privileged. The argument heats up between Rosie and Rold. Wayne stands up and turns his back on the argument. Stuart argues that Pringles set an unrealistic standard for chips everywhere. Gail tries to bring discussion back to dill pickle, but the argument escalates when Rosie asks Rold if he's ever seen a family-sized pack of Pringles.
You ever seen a family-sized pack of Pringles? No, because they don't get the same opportunities as other chip. Never did.
They excluded themselves from that conversation!
Oh, well, since you asked, Rosie, what do you think a family-sized pack of Pringles looks like? Oh, 3 tubes stacked on top of each other?
I was thinking 3 tubes pressed side by side.
You got 2 parents, 2 to 3 kids, and maybe a dog in the family sedan? You really think there's any room for those options?
Pringles are used to being left behind. I'll take some air.
Rosie.
Rosie storms off. Rold looks immediately regretful of his outburst. The topic returns to dill pickle. Wayne is still standing with a foot up on the riser back to the fishbowl. Squirrely Dan comments that Wayne's been awfully quiet. Derry notes so's Katie. Wayne turns around, walks over to his sister, squats in front of her, and they exchange whispers. You can hear each other telling the other that they should say something. And then Wayne finally gets up and speaks.
We've always been able to rely on the family farm, you see. A number of years back, we had a rough patch, agriculturally. It's difficult times, a lot of uncertainty. Katie had to get a job in town to help us make ends meet. And every night I'd drive into town there, pick her up. Well, that's the least I could do. Hell, I'll admit it, I was hurting. I was hurting real bad. It was a time when a lot of men would lose themselves. But what got me through it was the pride of knowing every night she'd go in town there for work. She'd know exactly who was coming to pick her up 8 hours later. That's me and a bag of dill picklers. I'm gonna take some air.
I'd take a wee bit of air, too.
Wayne and Katie leave the group, sitting there speechless. So Gail takes the opportunity to call a break. Scene 6, back at the gym, Ron and Dax are loading an impossibly large amount of weights on both sides of a barbell for Glenn, who's sitting on a bench between them, and Riley and Jonesy come back in another attempt to find the truth. Glenn calls them Hall & Oates. Riley and Jonesy just want to make things crystal clear. They weren't acting strange because someone was gay. They're fine with gay. Whatever they're doing is good. Great even. So even if Wayne or Glenn were gay or is gay or is planning to be gay, it's all good to them. It's great. Whatever he's doing is great. They've been pals for a long time. They've been pals long enough that Glenn could just tell them if they're out of line. But from one pal to another, they were just wondering, is Glenn... They can't bring themselves to ask the question, but then Glenn interrupts anyway.
I was.
You were.
I am.
You are.
And I plan to be the most fit-spired fella in this whole fitness forum. Who's with me?
It's none of our business, buddy.
I can't know everything, bro.
We're with you.
Oh, good. Because it's hard to stay fit-spired. I need good fit-spo.
You betcha, buddy.
We're here to help, bro.
Even if it means searching massive cock drills tiny hole?
Sure, buddy.
Even if it means searching 2 massive cock drill tiny hole?
Whatever it takes, buddy.
Even if it means searching 2 very handsome, muscular men with massive cocks who aren't touching each other, but there's definitely no girls around?
I can help with that one, buddy.
Even if it means searching 2 handsome, muscular men with massive cocks just going all the way with each other while the rest of their fraternity brothers cheer them on and drink beer?
That's right in my wheelhouse, buddy.
Oh, good. Good!
With all that settled, Glenn asks which one of the non-doctors feels like giving him a prostate exam. Glenn assumes the position on the workout bench. It's so funny.
When he does,
Final scene. Proceedings resume at the fishbowl. The topic is now sour cream and onion. This gets mixed reaction from the crowd. Tempers start heating up once again. Gail quickly switches gears to ketchup. The crowd erupts to louder discussion about ketchup. It seems largely positive. Squirrely Dan tells Gail she needs to get control of the situation. Gail says they're gone. She's lost the crowd. After a few more seconds of uncontrolled arguing from the crowd, everyone stops when we hear the door open and close. Everyone looks up. It's Bonnie McMurray walking in with a bag of Old Dutch all dressed. Gentle folk guitar music plays during the scene. Everyone is mesmerized by the sight of Bonnie standing there eating all dressed chips. They all reach for each other. Finally, the trance lifts. Bonnie, looking confused, asks everyone why they're there and not at the bar, but they all ignore the question.
All dressed.
That's the chip.
That's...
It is the chip.
I mean, it really is the best of the best.
I mean, what are we talking about here? It's a mix of barbecues, ketchups, sour creams and onions, and salts and vinegars.
It's a little bit of all of us in that chip.
It was right there in front of us this whole time.
Couldn't see the forest for the trees. Nothing regular about it.
There's no dill pickle in there.
Dill pickle will always have a place in our hearts.
What is going on here?
I feel like Bonnie is Victor right now. Gail reminds everyone that the duels clearly state all dressed chips shall be excluded.
For obvious reasons, Wayne.
Oh, Derry. Excluding the chip doesn't stop it from being the greatest chip of all time.
Got that right, good buddy.
It's the Brett's Hearts of Chips. Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be.
This fishbowl discussion will now be closed. There will be no vote via show of hands. As the conclusion for the best chip of all time has been drawn, pursuit of designing our own flavor of chip will also conclude.
Yeah, but the chip we design, it'd be like a Caesar flavored chip, like a Bloody Mary flavored chip. I think that'd be the winner. It's, I think we'd all agree on that.
Everyone knows that.
I mean, a chip that tastes like Caesar's, slam dunk.
You can't lose.
All dressed, though.
Got everything in a chip you want right there.
Friendship. Feels good.
Friendship? Yo. What the actual fuck is going on here?
And we fade to black. All right. Here we go. Discussion time. So remember, this portion, we're not giving ratings. We're just talking about our initial reactions to this episode. And we start with me. So, first time I watched this episode, it was kind of it was night, like the kids were still up and stuff. So it wasn't very loud and we were all pretty tired. So I wasn't really paying too much attention to it. So it was like, when it was done, I was like, oh, that was it. It was kind of, it came and went and whatever. And it was like, oh, that was kind of blah. Like there was some funny parts, but I was a little disappointed. I watched it again with headphones, listening to everything. Completely different experience. And let me just say, the whole fishbowl thing, that whole thing is an allegory to social media. And here we go again. I know, but here's every argument that happens on social media happened in that fishbowl. Like I've seen like joke posts where people say, "Oh, if I post that I like oranges, somebody's going to yell at me saying what? So you're saying bananas suck and apples are no good and blah 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 blah." That's exactly how most arguments happen on Twitter, for example, and that's exactly what they're making fun of on this episode. Something as banal as chip flavors, and they were getting at each other's throats. These are people who are generally friendly with each other, and they were ready to kill each other. And that's like what happens online. It's the same thing, right? Except this time they're like in this, they're doing it in person, which makes it look more like, makes it look as ridiculous as it is, right? Like these people wouldn't do and say what they say online if they were in person with each other. But on this episode of Chips, that's exactly what they're doing. They're showing how ridiculous these arguments are because they're doing it face to face, and how like angry and how like upset and all the different kind of like examples and stuff that they're saying in order to beat each other at these arguments. So
thank you, Al, because and I'll let you continue. But that was one of the first things. I'm like, someone tell me what the fuck this episode is about. Yeah, because I couldn't put my finger on it. Like there was so many different flavors of different things happening. I'm like, maybe it's about this. No, maybe it's about that. No, I knew there's a bigger
And we had
that makes
Now,
sense.
how did you find that message? Did you do a
it's-
search?
It's all right there, especially when Stuart makes that line saying Pringles set an impossible example for other chips or whatever. That's exactly the kind of argument somebody would use about like models being impossible examples for women and stuff.
And then there was arguments about privilege and things like
Privilege-
that. Like, there was a
oh,
lot
yeah.
of different conflicting arguments.
All of
going
these
on. I couldn't
arguments,
put it together.
Yeah, all of these arguments is shit you hear and read on the internet all the fucking time. So this was absolutely exactly what they were doing there. They were making fun
I
of
did
it
with waffles and pancakes before.
Yeah, and it looks ridiculous though when they show people doing it in person, face to face. So I love it. So that part of the episode I fucking love. And you know what? We had a little bit of that going with when we were doing our bracket, our Letterkenny cold bracket. Think about how upset some of us got, and some of us, myself included,
Still upset.
Yeah, when and what does it mean? It means nothing. Like, who cares? Like, a bunch of people voted for a cold open that they found funnier than others, and we were upset because the right one didn't win. Right? So completely that part of this episode was redeemed upon a second watch. I loved Riley and Jonesy trying so hard to get Glenn to admit that he was gay. I loved it without actually coming out and asking. And I mean, all the signs are there. He's obviously gay. Like, everything he's saying is pointing to him being gay, but Riley and Jonesy don't want to believe it until they hear it straight from Glenn's mouth. And in the end, when he refuses to confirm it, they're like, it's none of our business. We just got to keep on going. So I love that part too. Again, on second viewing, it really redeemed for me. And Victor's doing a lot of head shaking, so I'm going to let you talk now.
I mean, I agree with everything you said. However, it was a skit. It wasn't an episode.
Yeah.
It was an SNL skit. It was, I would compare it to kind of, doing an improv or going to like an improv night and, okay, pick a topic. And then for the next 20, 25 minutes, they're kind of going back and forth talking about the topic. Yeah, the allegory thing, they stayed on topic, and they made all those kind of metaphors and comparisons, and except Pringles do come in family size, but anyway, and all of that is true. The problem is it wasn't an episode. There was like, I know that Letterkenny is not a story driven kind of a show, but there was nothing there. It wasn't it wasn't the beginning of a season. There was nothing there. It was basically, there was two storylines. One was basically filler, which was the gym, and I have thoughts about that. But the main thing, which was the fishbowl, and the thing is, like, I don't think most people know what a fishbowl is.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of sitting there and thinking, okay, these guys are sitting there. There's basically six guys doing, 6 people doing the talking, and then all those other people just sitting around. It's like, why are they even there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't see anybody taking notes, but anyway. And they're having this kind of nonsensical, nonstop argument about these chips, and the whole time I'm trying to remind myself. So, what are they even trying to? What was this contest about? Are they trying to pick a flavor or trying to decide, what is the best flavor? And I get it. It's both.
Can I just say the extra people in that fishbowl, I think, are supposed to represent the mob mentality online. Like,
okay,
if it was just the 6 skids arguing with each, they probably wouldn't get to arguing with each other. But with the strength of people behind them, the mob mentality takes over, and then that gets escalated, right?
Yeah, and that's fine.
They were very active background too, like very much reacting to
they were either cheering, they were either agreeing with,
every time I looked at them, they were just sitting there. They weren't doing anything. I was waiting for
whenever things got heated.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay, I
they
missed
were
that.
either reacting.
That's fine. I'll drink your Kool-Aid on that. That's fine. All I'm saying is it just felt like if these were your friends that were putting on a skit, you'd kind of feel like, oh, you guys are really good. That was like really cool. You really stretched that whole chip thing really far, and you that was a really cool skit. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at this as a season opener to a Letterkenny season, and I'm thinking what am I missing here?
Right.
Like this is almost like a episode to the season. Let's give you something. It's almost like a special, right? Where there's nothing happening at all. And I'll stop and I'll let others talk because I have some strong thoughts about the gym scene as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We'll circle back to
Tanya,
that.
You don't want to share your thoughts now? We're going
No,
around
I'll
the
come
loop
back.
first?
I
Going
feel
around the
like I
horn?
spewed it for a while.
We're going around the horn.
Yes. Go.
So my interpretation was I envisioned Jared listening to one of our podcasts where we talked about chips. And I kind of thought that he took information from that conversation and how we are very lively when it comes to chip conversations here on the podcast.
All dressed is the best.
We've talked about what they.
Oh, we still have to talk about that, by the way. But please continue.
What our friends in the States can get, what we can get, and even when some of our friends from the States came up, they were also, talking about. I think there was a masala chip
it's a great chip
that Casey
it's a good chip,
wanted to take back home with her.
Mm-hmm.
Also butter chicken chip.
So I kind of envisioned that's where the birth of this episode came from. Yes, when we first watched this episode, we were both very, very tired. I was falling asleep, and I didn't think really much of it. It kind of fell short with me or flat. As I watched it a second time with a little bit more energy, I did laugh at a couple of parts. And there's a lot to be said about the chip. I am a chipaholic, an absolute, I bona fide chipaholic. I used to fantasize about working at a chip factory when I was a child.
Can confirm.
And I would sit there and be mesmerized by the chip and hold it and look at it and appreciate it in every way and wonder how they were made. I'm very, very much a chip lover. And I like all of their points, the reviews, Wayne's sleepover review, and my dad is a plain person, so we always had classic chips. And you get tired of the classic chip every once in a while. So Wayne's sleepover with Derry walking out, and what they used to do is adding the salt and vinegar. We did the exact same thing. We because Dad would only have the regular classics. So you have to eat that fast though, or else they get soggy. It's one of those things that you have to commit yourself to right away.
Just have dip.
And
dip.
then we invented the chip, my family, we invented the ketchup chip because we had ketchup, and again, Dad only had the plain chip.
We invented ketchup chip.
So we would get a bowl of ketchup and then dip the plain chips in the ketchup. So that's where ketchup chips was born in my house.
I've been doing that forever.
That came out of necessity because we got tired of the classic. But
I'm like 10 years older than you, Tanya. We've been doing that. That was in grammar school. Sorry, dude. You didn't invent it.
Oh, and then Stuart's review, with salt and vinegar chips. Oh my God. If we had a canker sore, you would just eat a bag of salt and vinegar chips and it would just take that canker sore and you'd be gone the next day. And always take the skin right off the inside of your mouth. There's a lot to be said about chips here, a lot. And I loved how the chips connected and linked them with various stories, like Katie and Wayne's story about the dill picklers.
I love hearing some insight in Katie and Wayne's back, history too. That was a little different.
They share a lot of, and they get very sentimental about it, right? So again, lots of fun. The Pringles fell short with me. I didn't really see where the use was for the Pringle conversation.
See, again, I mean,
now that I know what you've said, and I feel like they almost need to put a disclaimer at the beginning.
Oh no, there's no fun in that.
They need to,
the Pringles represented
I take
privilege.
it for face value.
Pringles are a privileged chip because they're perfectly formed in a container that don't allow them to get cut get broken. I mean, they're a privileged chip for sure, and they're not a chip. So
I thought it more represented part of the argument, the false argument, because it's not a chip. It's made from dehydrated potato meal that you jam together and form.
Yeah,
it doesn't count in the argument.
So, but
to me, that was the people who bring in bring in things that aren't really part of the argument and try to detour it.
Kind of like Tanya and invented the ketchup chip, or the way that Edison invented the light bulb after Swan and Tesla did.
Okay. In her house, she invented the ketchup chip, Victor. Get over yourself.
That's
Come
not
on.
what she said.
She did say
not
that.
what she
Anyway,
said.
are those
Oh,
all
you
your
people
points?
are no fun. So, yeah, no, now that, I was taking the whole chip thing at face value, Alan's
Straw man.
found,
That's right, Tobias. The straw man argument. Yeah. Yeah.
Alan found a social parallel to it all. I think that the story, it's fun to play with. Speaking of Ron, Dax, Glenn, and Riley Jonesy, that storyline, hilarious. Oh my God. Glenn is so quick in that assuming the position on the workout bench you don't expect it, and then he flips his legs back and up goes.
You don't expect it, really?
Well, he just does it so quickly. Anyways, he's and having the little sticky notes on in the magazine, like he's just so darn funny.
Sticky. It's Fitspo. Yeah.
It's Fitspo.
Yeah, they're not sticky notes. They're just regular notes, but now they're sticky. All right.
And I just want to say though too, shout out to Ron. He's so quick with his comments, and his comments are so fantastic.
Yeah.
You're paying a lot of attention to my shorts for a man who
dude
couldn't see
is
straight.
built like he's
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's put on some
Yes,
muscle.
he looks like a straight porn star.
Yeah.
The bottom of a porn star.
And has he always used the line straight up the ass? Because I found it.
Probably.
I'm like,
I feel like he has.
I don't remember it before.
I feel like that's been used.
Yeah,
Has
straight
it?
up the ass. What are we even talking about here? Yeah, it's just like
Brilliant writing.
All right, is that everything?
Go for it,
Matt.
Yeah, there's so much. There's like nothing and so much here all at the same time. And I'm with you. So I watched it a couple times. The first one I was a little thrown off, and I had to dive in. The second time I enjoyed it so much more. I'll quickly touch on the Glenn side of things here. Glenn is
He would like that.
Glenn is masterful. Like Jacob, holy shit, dude. You brought the A game in this episode. What I love about that
The A game.
This whole yeah, he did.
He likes it on a whole.
Yeah, he brought the whole A game. What I love about that is you have hockey. You got them that are sitting there trying to have this conversation, which is a very uncomfortable one for a lot of people to have and have outright. And they put it in the middle of the most uncomfortable setting. Like the way that they're all coming at it, they really push the envelope in the dialogue and the narrative and things they were saying. And like, it was almost uncomfortable to listen to it some because they were coming so aggressively, but I loved it. I'm laughing because you see Riley and Jonesy coming back at them, just dancing around without too nervous, just ask the question outright. Even though it's so obvious. So I thought it was a really brilliant way of placing that whole setting. And I definitely got some good laughs, but Glenn just fucking stole the show in that. I agree. When he did his little hop up onto the thing, I was crying laughing. It was so good. The five of them just played off each other so well. It definitely caught me off guard a bit how they kept carrying it on, but I thought they were pretty good scenes. The chip thing. So really quickly, chips. Dill's an abomination. Saying that, no, fuck all you. Dill's an abomination.
Oh, I'm sorry, we can't be friends anymore.
Dill's an abomination. Caesar, what the fuck would that even taste
Yeah,
like?
that would taste horrible.
That
That's
feels
horrible.
like it's going to be more than two
hold on.
ingredients.
I don't like Caesars, but
Neither do I now.
what are you flavoring it against? The ensemble of buffet you put on top, or the fucking soup that you have in the glass? I don't know.
Maybe
So
they
there's-
meant the Caesar chip, or sorry, the Caesar salad.
No, что с тобой такое?
No, I took it as they're talking about Caesar.
That's Bloody Mary. He
It's
says
Bloody
Caesar,
Mary.
then he says,
Oh, did
then
they
he
say
says Bloody Mary?
Yeah, and that was definitely So you know what's funny? If you want to go back to your theory, Tan, just hit me about Jared
I'll
and
hit
team
you.
taking our conversation about chips and turning it into dialogue. When we talked about the Caesar episode, a lot of people didn't know what a Caesar was.
Yes.
So in this one, he purposely went out of their way to say Caesar or Bloody Mary.
Yeah, that was a weak move. That's like Fox putting a glow around.
It's true. I agree with you there, Victor. That was a weak move. He shouldn't have had to what would you call that? Ameriexplain? What a Caesar is?
But that was a big conversation with us. Because remember my stupid little flawed Twitter scientific poll that Victor didn't like? That was all about that.
That was fucking 10-ply. I'm sorry.
So who knows? Maybe you're onto something, Tan, there. But I love. So
I think she's just dreaming that Jared would listen to our podcast and have it influence anything. I'm still waiting for my euchre episode, if that's the case.
I'm waiting for an episode where they make a joke at a bunch of podcasters and make some shots. So I'm hoping that happens one day. But my whole theory is I'm watching this whole mess uncover and happen. And I'm like, what? And I actually said it when, what the actual fuck is going on? So Bonnie is my hero in this one, and how she pulled. If she didn't come out and say that, I would have been a lot more.
It doesn't
upset.
fix it. It doesn't fix it.
It was the best line, though.
It was the best line,
and I'll explain.
It was the only line that made any sense, but it doesn't fix it.
Yes, I totally agree. It was brilliant, and it definitely tried to recap the fact that they were aware of how ridiculous what they did was. And my theory is when they started writing this, it probably started off as a scene or a cold open or something, and then they began to write, and they wrote, and they're like, oh, what about this, what about that? And before you know it, they had like pages of dialogue, and like,
They took it too far.
and they're like, what have we done here? Oh, fuck it, let's just make it. And they went with it, and it became an episode. So I don't think it originally intended to be an episode, but it got out of hand, and that Bonnie McMurray line was their attempt to rail it back in and be like, yeah, we don't know what we're doing.
How many times have they had scenes in Letterkenny that have been overly dramatic and that's
scenes.
Like, yeah.
This wasn't a scene, it was an episode.
Okay, pull off of the mic there,
Victor. You're starting to sound like an old TTC voiceover.
But you're not. They have had scenes, but this was an entire episode based on.
But there was a whole point for it, though. I think
I accept your social media allegory thing. I think that's because I couldn't wrap my head around what
They could have
was
done
going
that in
beyond
a
it.
single scene.
Yeah,
They
I
didn't
think
need
it was
make that a
intended to
whole
be a
fucking
scene,
episode.
but they made it, and they're like, "Fuck it, let's just do it anyway."
Yeah, where was that voice of reason in like 20 minutes ago?
Hoopla Liz says, "Someone give Mike his old Victor his old mic back." all right. Our guest needs to speak.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry, we got
Mike.
more, but go.
What do you have, Mike?
All right, so this is initial thoughts, right? I mean, we're still in initial.
Yeah, we're not even rating.
Yeah, I haven't even gotten started yet.
So initially, it's a year. It's been a year since we had Letterkenny, so it's an impossibly high standard that it has to hit. Everyone's hanging for that drop, and when you finally see it, it can't live up to the expectation. Nothing can live up to the expectation. So, like everyone, it was a little bit disappointing. So my first thought there is, okay, this was okay, but part of the thing, and I don't know if this is necessarily agreeing with Victor, the whole premise it was built on was basically faulty. Right? They're pushing this narrative that small towns love chips. They're pushing all these things like just for the setup. So I get it, but the setup to me wasn't really true, right? So it's like it was too contrived. So that was one thing about it. As a personal side, they totally screw up their history, and if Katie wants history lessons someday, I will gladly give her some history lessons. Anyway,
You mean the War of 1812 was not fought over chips?
It was not fought over chips, and Manifest Destiny has nothing to do with flavor.
I know, but that's the whole point. Like Victor, like this is Letterkenny. This is what they do. They set up.
I know it was a little absurd.
Yeah.
But so it's based on, to me, a faulty, contrived kind of, creation story for this chip thing, and that doesn't matter because it's a comedy show, and I can very easily get past the fact that it's a comedy show.
Take notes, Victor.
The gym dudes, the whole point of the gym dudes, it just seemed like a really long way to go to get to the fact that, it's none of our business if Glenn's gay or not.
But it was so much fun. It was a long road, but it was a fun road. It was a fun road.
I disagree.
Oh, it was a
fun long
road.
road to get to. It's not our business if he's gay. He is, but we're not.
But the fun part of that is how does
our business
how does
because
Glenn say something without actually saying it? And you know what I mean?
He said it without saying it. He did say it.
I know he did, but Riley and Jones,
we got full
wanted
frontal nudity there. I'm sorry, man. There was nothing left.
There's also, I was going to say something. Victor cut me off there.
Let him have
it
it.
could have been done quicker. I thought, it's. Oh, I know what it was. The A and B story in this.
Mm-hmm.
The A story is good. The A story is good. The fishbowl thing, the chips is a good premise in and of itself. With the whole suppositions about social media. But I feel like the B story was just not. It didn't live up to it. It was a long way to go. And it was the same joke. We get it. And they even repeated the whole search thing twice, which they do sometimes. We know the repetition has always been in the show. And when he gets to the adds a couple on, like with Ron with Ron, at the end he's like, "Oh, that's in my wheelhouse." Like that was a great line.
Yeah.
He's talking about that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, clearly. But initial thoughts, there was a lot of things here that couldn't live up to the hype of being the first show we're going to watch in a year.
Sure.
And it just kind of went that way.
In the live stream, they're laughing at us because basically we're doing the same thing in our episode that they did in that episode, where we're getting really passionate and angry about something about a comedy, about something is
right.
I love Robbie's. You are currently doing the same thing, except it's lasting 2 hours instead of 20 minutes.
I had another question too about this, because, and I think Al, you may have said something about it, but I looked at Old Dutch. We don't have that down here, I don't think, but Old Dutch is a real thing. So is this the first product placement we've seen on Letterkenny?
No,
Letterkenny maybe, not on Shoresy. There's obviously
no, those are all
the ice cream. Yeah, you're right. Letterkenny.
I believe they've talked about Old Dutch before.
They've talked about like different beer brands. I mean, to be Labatt Crystal Clear, kind of that kind of thing.
I never did one of these, but I have my Old Dutch.
Yeah,
but you know what? They actually changed the bag because the bag doesn't look like that.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, but it's still Old Dutch. It's still commercial. It's still a commercial.
Yeah, that's a good
It did
point.
feel very much in your face, which we're not used to.
It felt like a product.
Yeah, other than Riley and Jonesy are always driving a Jeep, so there's maybe there's something there about Jeeps.
Right. That's more subtle though.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
and of course, just to cap off what I was going to say, two things about that that seemed weird to me. There's an empty chair in the circle, which I thought I don't know if that was supposed to be for Bonnie. It was supposed to be for someone. I felt like they missed an opportunity to put Dickens in that chair because his voice in the arguments, I thought would have been a welcome thing.
Yeah.
And then Bonnie does, save the whole situation by showing up, and it's like,
well, Bonnie is everyone else watching this episode, right? Well, what the fuck's going on? It's just
they start playing a song, which is like love something.
Yeah,
I wrote it down somewhere, but it's like, wait, do we love the chip or do we love Bonnie or do we love both?
Yeah,
and it's probably a little bit of both there.
Yeah, Bonnie was that person jumps into our DN group after a week and is like, "What the actual fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck's going on here?" Yeah. All right, that's great. I love the passion here. We'll move on to ratings.
No, I have more to say.
Well, you can say during your rating, but okay, go ahead.
God damn you. First of all, about
do you need to go for air? Do you need to
go? So first of all, about the chips, then we'll get to the gym.
Now, why are you doing a Twitter poll on this? We haven't done a tiny Twitter poll. Do a chip poll. Why isn't this the thing that we're doing? Right, like this is the kind of thing that we would have done seems like 5 years ago, but like a couple of years ago or a year ago, we would have done here's a poll or a Mac poll.
Yeah, Okay, I'll do a Twitter poll on chips.
So first of all,
Victor. Okay.
So all dressed, right? So they're having
the best.
I mean, I don't understand.
It rhymes with the best for a reason. All dressed is
so
the best.
I don't understand this consensus about all dressed somehow being like the best flavor. Based on what? That's the most ridiculous thing.
Science. Based on science.
And not science. Maybe alchemy. But all I can say is, all dressed is basically salt and vinegar with a zing, with a bunch of other flavors that you're trying to kind of figure out what they are. But it's the dominant flavor in all dressed is salt and vinegar. So it's salt and vinegar kind of with a zing. That's what all dressed
tastes
is. So
nothing like salt and vinegar.
You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
And nothing like salt and vinegar.
Wow. Your taste buds have been stunted with.
Have you had a fucking all dressed chip?
Victor, what is your favorite chip?
It goes back and forth. I'm a simple guy. I love barbecue. There's days I enjoy sour cream and onion. I will have days where you know what, I feel like a dill pickle, though those days are kind of behind me. But typically I will never turn down barbecue. That's one of my all-time favorites.
At least we can agree on that.
Yeah. However, all dressed is, it's salt. It's a different variation of salt and vinegar, and people need to accept that. It's not. It's like
because I don't like salt and vinegar, but I loved all dressed. I do not like salt. And
whatever.
vinegar.
That's fine. That's fine. All I'm saying is, and then Caesar. First of all, soft by going into the Bloody Mary thing, because Bloody Mary and Caesar are not the same drinks. They are not. Bloody Mary is like, it's like a flat tonic water, where a Caesar is like a beautiful, flavorful.
Oh, they're both fucking
Oh,
disgusting.
Blue Spatula. Mike's got his own out now.
Well played, Mike.
That's fine. That's
I
fine.
kill myself with it.
And I would, I'd be first in line to get a Caesar flavored potato chip.
But what would it taste like?
Yeah,
it would taste like a fucking Caesar. What do you think?
It tastes like
the
ketchup
drink
chips.
or the
if it tasted like the
ketchup chips with a rimmer.
the seasoning they do on the rim of the Caesar, that's the only thing that I liked about the Caesar that I had.
No,
It was like-
that would be on the rim of the chip, but the chip would be infused with the actual Caesar flavor.
So get us some Caesar rim chips, and we're good to go.
Oh, I don't know.
This
We're saying
doesn't-
rim
I mean-
too much. Let's stop saying rim, please.
So it's
Anyway,
a tomato chip.
okay, so speaking of
tomato
rims,
chip with a dust of Worcestershire.
They have the ketchup chips.
yeah. So speaking of rims, let's go back to the gym. Now, so I've got two. So I've
Nice
got
segue.
Thank you. So I've got two issues at the gym. One, first of all, and this is not a gay or straight thing. Aside from Ron Jeremy, and only because it's part of pop culture, I don't think anybody can rhyme off like 5 to 10 porn stars, gay or straight. So it doesn't make
Male
sense.
or female?
Does it matter?
Well, I can.
Back in my day, I could probably name a couple of female.
Really,
porn stars.
really?
Yeah,
Okay, couple. But 10. Come on.
Okay, but
Come
this
on.
never bothered you before when they were naming off
no,
like EMO bands or whatever.
Yeah,
like
This is a judgment-free zone, Victor. If
The
someone wants
hell?
to name on porn
That's
stars,
fine.
let them
You
name them
wanna-
off.
If you're into porn, good for you. That's great stuff. All I'm
You're
saying is
feeling very judgy right now.
I challenge anybody who is a porn fanatic to actually know the celebrities.
Wasn't that one of your jobs, Victor?
Yeah, well,
Because I've been dying to hear.
Yes, it was one of my jobs, but I didn't have to know the names of the actual actors and actresses.
Did you get Fitzbowie on it?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I was even back then I was thinking of train trips and not plane trips.
Yeah, you were.
Thinking of trains. Okay. We got to start moving on.
So no.
Wait,
Okay,
wait.
so that's the first part about the gym that I thought was like a little bit goofy. The second part was too much frontal nudity. The whole thing about Glenn, he was almost like a Wilson, right? Where you kind of see you see the eyes, but you don't see the whole face, and you kind of think obviously he's probably gay, but it's always kind of it's clever. It's always
Sure.
kind of clever and kind of clever. He kind of showed all his cards in this one. Like, he blew the load. Like, it's just. And
But
then
after 11 seasons, we can't get that?
No, you can, but why? Why?
Well,
It's like
I mean,
it's like-
I understand.
Hold on, Victor.
I get it.
Hold on one
Vic.
second.
Oh, yeah.
On Crave, you said you saw the frontal nudity on Crave. I thought it was blurred out in Hulu. Did anyone? And maybe the live stream can back me up. I thought when I looked at the magazine, it was.
No, I was using a metaphor. I don't mean frontal.
Oh.
No. I was
I
metaphor.
thought you were saying.
Hold on. There was nothing blurred in what we saw on our side.
I wasn't referring to anything in the magazine. I was
maybe
using that as a
Yeah.
metaphor.
Yeah, as Glenn was
I was
exposing
simply-
himself as
he exposed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
bad.
I should
Continue
have
your
been.
rant.
Sorry, it's almost like the chip contest all over again. I should have been more clear. But all I'm saying is like he blew the load. Like he should have. Like it just too much. Like at the end, yes, it's funny about any non-doctors can give me a prostate exam, but then he's basically saying yes, I'm gay. I couldn't be more gay than I am right now. And it's like why go there? Like keep it a fun little mystery that we can continue to have fun with. And he just basically just exposed himself.
I hear you with that, Victor, and I don't disagree, except I think the point of those scenes were more about Riley and Jonesy trying to get him to admit it.
But they missed the mark. Michael's
Sure.
missed the mark.
Okay, I don't disagree.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, we'll move on because I don't want this to be a record episode, but I'm loving all the energy here. And everyone on the live stream is loving Ragey Victor, by the way. They So we're going to move on to
Victor.
we're going to move on to ratings. So I'm going to start just to remind everybody, we have a rating scale of fresh, clearance, and compost. And fresh obviously being the best, and clearance being middle, and compost being the worst. So I'm going to start, but I'm going to just kind of respond to a few things, a few of the issues Victor said he had. First of all, season 10 ended with no cliffhanger. Season 10 was all about setting up Shorzy, right? So there was nothing, it ended on, there's no continuation of a story from season 10 that we should have been expecting in episode 1 of season 11. Having said that, I agree. This episode here doesn't feel like the beginning of a season. It feels kind of like a standalone episode. I get that because there's not really any story here. It's all about it's Fart Book. It's Fart Book, or it's Uncle Eddie's Trust, or
The concept episode.
It's a concept episode right off the bat. So yes, but there's a lot of stuff in here that's classic Letterkenny. The overacting, the overly dramatic stuff, the cold open, classic Letterkenny. There's so much of this that's classic Letterkenny in season 11. And again, after the first viewing, I would have maybe given this a low clearance, maybe even a compost. But after watching it a second time, I get it, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was funny, so I'm going to give it a fresh. Victor?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, on the individual performances, on the individual kind of skits, if you will, I would give it a clearance. I'd give it a pass. But as a season opener, as an episode, as something that leads to the second episode that it gets me excited to kind of watch the next episode, feel like I've gotten into, we started season 1 to start with this. I don't get it. So I have to, and again, I'm a little conflicted now that we're kind of getting all of this kind of closeness with the cast and all that stuff. But again, in the world that we're in the Letterkenny universe, this is a compost. Sorry, Jared.
Oh wow.
It's
he's the only one he wrote a letter to, Vic. You're the only one Jared wrote a letter to.
But he was aware that he got him with Shorzy. He knew Letterkenny.
Yeah, he got me with Shorzy,
Yeah.
and I get it. Hey, I get it. I know if people are telling me that they love this episode, that this is pure classic Letterkenny.
Yeah,
I totally get
sure.
it. I'm not gonna.
And actually, the brilliance of this episode, it has caused a lot of discussion on social media about chips. Like, there's a lot of people arguing about their favorite chips on social media. So they've done like a bunch of things right with this episode.
No, that's fine.
And I love
my opinion.
Yeah.
My opinion stays.
Sure.
In the world that we've created, in a rating system that we believe in.
Yeah.
It is a compost, because I can only hope that it gets better from here.
I love when you started talking about your rating right away. Trace wrote, "This mofo gonna give compost on the opening episode." Tanya,
passionate Victor. Oh my God, dude, you slept. You're on vacation.
Yeah,
you're all wild. Love it. Okay, what to say? I would have absolutely given it a compost first watch through. Kind of like what Al's saying. I think it breathes new light after Alan's social experiment or reference. Oh man, what to give it? I liked it. I didn't love it, so I think it falls in the middle as a clearance.
all right. So far, we have one of each. Matt.
This is wild. And I knew Victor was coming in this way.
Yeah, he kind of gave us some hints.
But even before the hints, as soon as I watched, I'm like, oh, Victor's gonna hate this one. I'm like, and I was ready. I was ready for tonight, and I was excited because these are some of our favorite episodes when there's just true. I love it. All right. So this one, and it's funny. I agree with something that was said there. The First watch through, I was conflicted. I wasn't really sure what was coming. The second one, I really enjoyed it. Now, and I'm annoyed that I wasn't able to pick up on this myself, but the allegory, the social media aspect, I like that. I think that makes sense. I knew something was going on, but I was annoyed that I couldn't put the story together for what it actually was. That said, it doesn't take away from my enjoyment. I thought there's some really brilliant stuff in there. I genuinely believe that this may have, like I said already, started off as a scene that got away from them, and they went with it. And I think, you know what? They're artists. These guys, I don't think they ever they're never going to apologize for anything that they do. They love what they do. There's so much passion behind it, whether you like it or not. You watch it, you watch the actors, the dialogue. There's true passion here. Even if they just made this one for themselves because it made them laugh, fuck it. I love
That's
it.
exactly what happened.
I thought it was great, and I love that they put it out there. And Bonnie Murray tied it all together, and that's their self-awareness saying, "Yeah, we get it, guys. We get it. Take it or leave it." You're right. It's drawing conversation. This whole episode is exact example. Robbie called it out. We have been bickering about this thing back and forth from different points of view on the madness of something so silly. But it's spot on. So I love it. The other thing I will call it, we didn't even touch on before I give my official rating, was the physical humor in this episode.
Okay.
Was some of the best we've seen in a while. You've got Wayne doing his sort of stance, rubbing Derry's leg, marching over to Katie. Brilliant. Gail doing her Gail thing. And she kept it very PG for Gail.
I had notes on her.
But her body language as she brought them together, loved it. And then Glenn, holy shit. Like you can't, Jacob Tierney,
and the cute names he had for those.
Rolled. You misrolled.
Bert and Ernie. Well, I love it. Leaves off. Oh, hockey! I forgot you were there. And just
There's some mention in the chat, and I also took notice of it the third time I watched this when I was writing my script. In the gym scenes, in the background, there's a couple of guys doing a tandem workout. It's pretty. They're being really close with each other during that workout.
I missed that.
So it's pretty fun.
And you're right. And I do challenge people, go back and watch it again. And this episode is a great example where you have the time with everything going on to take in what's going on all around, right? Watching all the background actors doing their thing, because there are two shots. There's the scene at the fishbowl, and there's the scene at the gym. And majority of the entire episode just focuses on those two shots throughout the whole thing. So there's lots going on in the background. Take it in. They focus on the dialogue. I loved it. I'm giving it it's not a high, but I'm giving it a fresh. I thought there's some really brilliant stuff here. No, it's not. I literally, like I said, if I just watched it once and came in, I'd probably be closer to Compost. But I had to watch it again. I had to give it the benefit of the doubt, and I've had a lot of realizations, and really, whether you take it at face value as a chip conversation, they made a lot of wicked points. I can't deny it. The salt and vinegar point alone, you spot fucking on. I love salt and vinegar, but you get those chips, you're like, what the hell? Like, why? Here's a good example. Watch my wife eat chips. She is the person who will go through and pick chip by chip and look for the ones with the most ingredients on it. And if it doesn't fit the bill, she throws it back in the bag.
What?
And I yell at her, oh yeah. Or if I grab one and she sees.
That's DGen behavior.
Yeah, that's a spatula worthy.
Never eat chips at Matt's house. Never eat chips.
You are not wrong, guys.
We at our house we had the wish ones, the ones that are oh my god, we called them wish chips.
The ones that fold in half. I love those. I love those guys.
If you got one,
those
in your
are
bowl,
good for dipping.
If you got one in your bowl, you had to save it for my mom because she loved those ones the best, or the ones that have a little bit of burnt on them. Chips are very important.
I like the burnt ones as well.
We're chip people. We fight them. Like if I pick one up that has more, it doesn't matter what flavor. Because the other thing I would quickly say before I know I've been rambling. I have no favorite chip. I think there is a special place for most chips at the
You're
right
a fence
time.
sitter.
No, it's not even that. It's like one night I'm like, I'm fully feeling salt and vinegar. Next night, I can't do that. I want my sour cream and onion. I want barbecue. I do the whole circuit.
It's your last day on earth. Which chip are you taking?
I don't have an answer for that.
Then you don't deserve a second night.
And actually, no, if I had to answer that, it wouldn't even be a chip. It would be a snack, but it would be the jalapeno Cheetos. I can crush a whole bag of that. But there you go. Anyways, I thought there was a lot of good stuff. It's causing a lot of conversation. Probably one of our most contentious episodes in a long time, and I love them for it. So it's fresh.
Excellent. Mike. By the way, that was a Terry Bryan level rant there, Matt. Thank you. Mike.
Okay. I don't know. I'm actually a pretzel guy, so I don't know.
Oh, boo.
I like honey
Sorry.
honey mustard
Pretzels.
pretzels.
Man,
Oh,
fuck
no.
that. Unless it's a real
Chocolate
pretzel.
covered pretzels.
Pretzels
Put
are
that
like,
back in the
they're
bag.
basically edible
I'm
twigs.
also-
I don't get them.
I'm also a food purist for the most part. So a salted chip
purist.
is what this is what I like to taste the flavor of what it is.
Sure.
And when I'm eating, if someone gives me a barbecue chip, or if I'm tasting like, I've never had all dressed because I don't live in Canada.
It's salt and vinegar.
It's not.
Like,
Don't listen to Victor.
I'm sure that's what I've heard. That. Like you can't taste the potato chip anymore. You're tasting the artificial flavor.
Most of them are not potato chips. They're reprocessed into what looks like a chip.
I'm sorry. Is this my turn?
Yes.
So,
yes, Mike.
Oh, if I had a hippo right now, Mike.
I like to taste the chip. I like to taste the potato chip.
Yeah.
But saying that, I do. Salt and vinegar would be my flavor, either plain or salt and vinegar, regular, original, salted, whatever. But has nothing to do with the rating of the episode. There's a couple of things I just want to point out that made me go the way I'm going to go here. I want to know what Katie's job was. I want more backstory there.
Oh, okay.
I want to know what job she had in town, because yes, I know she does a poop ton of work to keep the farm going while Wayne does most of the choring, and it's certainly a job. It's certainly hard, but like, what would she have done? I can't imagine it'd be anything super spectacular, but at the same time, like, if you're going to dangle that, I'd like to know what it was. Why can't you just explain it? There's also a continuity break in that scene where Wayne bends down and his shirt gets all untucked. I don't know.
Yes, I saw that.
He bends it down, it's tucked. When they show him from the back having the explanation, it's untucked, and then when he stands back up, it's tucked again. So this is one of the first times I've noticed a continuity issue with it, which again, not really relevant, but I wanted to point that out as well. And then I think that's it. I have like 4 pages of notes, no spreadsheets. I have 4 pages of notes. And I'll just end then with the rating, which I did watch it 3 times. The first time, what I would have given it the first time is the same thing I would give it the last time. And that is a very middle clearance, mid to high clearance, but definitely not. It didn't do enough to be fresh. I wanted it to be fresh. I was hoping it would be fresh, but to me, it's kind of a mid to high clearance. I'd say high clearance.
All right. Fair enough. So we're going to move on to MVP, and I'm going to try something. We're going to try, because there's so many people asking.
Don't.
Let's try it. Let's just try it.
We didn't talk about this.
I know. But I do things all the time without, asking your permission. So we're going to try it. We're going to play the Victor MVP game.
Oh, God.
So you're going to give us your MVPs, and then Victor, but not Victor's, and then, oh, wait, how did that work before? We have to write down.
I guess we can't play because we don't remember how.
Yes.
Oh, so Victor,
Darn.
how did that work before? We had to give.
We had to guess what Victor's MVP was going to be,
and then
we had to write it down first.
Oh, write it down
and
first.
Then I think
someone's about to explain it to us in the chat.
Yeah, somebody's going to explain it in the chat. Yeah, executive decision. Guys, help me out here. How did the Victor's MVP work?
I'm pretty sure we had.
This is going really well. On this,
much like the first episode, this one will fall a bit flat.
That's all right. Okay, I'm going to start with my MVP, and I will. I'll write down what I think Victor's is, but I will give my MVP. So my MVP. First of all, Wayne was a lot of fun in this episode with the overacting, with all the postures and stuff. Like every time he got up, put his leg up or whatever, he's like just the overly dramatic acting. Runner up. Bonnie, another runner-up, saying what we're all feeling. I got to give this one to Glenn. The heavy lifting, because he's in the gym, but also like all the scene chewing he did. This was a heavy Glenn episode, so Glenn's getting my MVP. We'll skip over Victor for now. Tanya, who's your MVP?
Sorry, I'm thinking so hard as to what Victor is going to choose. I forgot to choose myself.
I'm with you on that one.
Come on, guys.
You threw it at us.
Should have talked to us about it. Where was
well, you knew we were going to do an MVP. You don't have to do Victor's yet, but
Are
just
we going to require Victor to pick a person or no?
They thought we were doing games.
Yeah. Should we put rules on
I know
Victor?
I know who Victor's MVP is. Okay, who's your MVP?
Should we put a rule on Victor? He can't choose plaid, like no colors. It has
Was
to
there
be a
plaid in this episode? I don't think we had
There's
plaid.
always plaid in the episode.
There can't be.
It's
It
Letterkenny.
can't be like the fly on the wall,
Mhm.
or it can't be like.
No, I'm interested to find out what his MVPs are. We won't put any restrictions.
Oh,
if this
I know
doesn't
what
work,
it is now.
If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. What's your MVP?
Sorry, I had to write down Victor's. I know what it is now.
Okay.
Um,
Who's your MVP?
I want to do Victor now. Okay, who is my MVP?
I just gave you three
Damn it.
strong ones: Wayne, Bonnie, and Glenn.
It's going to be. I'm not going with any of them.
Oh.
I'm going with Ron.
You liked Ron in this
Yeah,
one.
I
didn't you?
did.
Yeah.
I did.
You just liked how he looked.
Well, he should get MVP just for getting all buff like he did. Holy crap.
I feel like he always was, though.
No, he was kind of skinny before. I mean, he was always,
I don't know.
fit.
He had a-
I love
But
Glenn.
I feel like
though.
he's
Oh my god! It's either Glenn or
he had
Ron.
he had a six pack always.
Was his hair lighter, or maybe they just had it pulled back? I don't know.
No. Oh, it's longer. I
No,
know.
it's Ron.
It's longer. You're Ron.
It's Ron.
Okay, Ron's
Yeah.
your MVP. Matt, who's your MVP?
Yeah, I won't dilly dally. It's Glenn. He really is the rock star here. He came out strong. I know we've been in the past seasons asking for more Glenn, and I think they've decided to bring him back full on. So he absolutely killed me. But really close second is Bonnie. I'm right with you. She delivered at the end, thinking what we all were said out loud. We're all thinking, and delivered it beautifully. So she was my honorable mention.
Okay, Mike.
If we don't get the last scene, I think my MVP is Rolled.
Rolled was good. Yeah.
He has some great stuff in there, the arguments, and then he automatically feels bad that he was attacking Rosie. So you can see, it's again, if we use your allegory situation, that's what happens online. You go into these arguments, you go, oh, I made someone feel bad. Ooh, I don't feel great about that. And plus the stupid friendship at the end and the giggle. To me, that was classic Rolled. But Bonnie shows up and steals everything. So Bonnie is my MVP.
Bonnie. All right. So everyone have their MVP for Victor written down or locked in. Or lock it in, so because when he gives it,
Going back and giving him free form to do what he wants, I gotta rethink this quickly. Hold on, I got it.
you got it. Okay, Victor.
Yes, sir.
Who or what is your MVP for this episode?
Yeah. So obviously, my runner-up is Bonnie McMurray because she
Damn it,
said
that's who I
exactly
said.
what that because she said what we were all kind of thinking, certainly on the first watch. And she delivered it perfectly, and then she delivered it again. She doubled down and said it even better. And I couldn't agree with her more, even though I knew what the episode was about. And it didn't fix it. It's just like that episode where it got all really down and dirty. Remember that McMurray episode where things just really, really got down and dirty with the smut talk? And it's like, oh, well, that was the point. Well, yeah, but it still doesn't make it acceptable. Like, it still doesn't make it a good watch.
Okay.
And anyway, so and then I watched the credits like 3 times backwards and forwards, and I paused, like, the credits, like, they don't roll, they switch screens.
Yeah.
I looking for the name of my MVP, and I just couldn't find it. And so I was really disappointed about that. And I thought, how can they even get away with that? I thought you have to give credit if you're going to use it. So my MVP is the love's kind of the folky song that started playing when Bonnie showed up.
Okay.
And
Good call.
I was going through the credits looking for the name of the song. I even tried to Shazam it, and I couldn't get it.
Hey, Victor. Victor, I got
that's
you.
my MVP.
I got you, buddy. I got you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. But all right, that's you know what? I don't hate that.
Yeah. That's a good song. I agree. That
And the reason I chose the song is because I felt that was the best part about the episode.
Okay.
That's when my ears perked up and I said, finally,
sure,
I get a payoff here.
Okay. So my guess for you, Victor, was Bonnie, and obviously I was wrong, but she was your runner-up. Tanya, what was your guess?
I wrote down Bonnie. I scratched it out. I wrote down barbecue chips. I scratched it out. And I landed on the empty chair because I figured I figured.
Matt put empty chair as well.
I'm like, oh yeah, it was the empty chair. The person that the seat that you didn't have to sit in and listen to it.
So it's funny. I took it the other way. Like that was the voice of reason that should have been there to shut this nonsense down.
Right. Okay. So there you go. Mike, who did you?
Are we thinking too obscure now?
Riley
I
and
think
Jonesy?
you guys are totally on point.
We're all in the same tone.
I thought maybe Riley and Jonesy, since they had to stand there uncomfortable.
Sure.
Like the rest of us do when Victor talks.
That's funny. All right. Now's the time where I would normally or in the past would have gone to our top fives. Here's the thing. The podcast has switched websites and I have no place to display our top fives anymore. So I've got them written down somewhere. So I can ask you guys if this, I don't think this makes anybody's top five, but there's no place for us to view them online right now. So
I noticed. I went looking for this site not too long ago. I'm like, where did it go?
Yeah, no, the site's, we switched hosts to co-host, but a co-host doesn't have a way to, so I'm not even sure what we're going to do with that. So we'll skip that for now. I don't think this makes anyone's top five anyway, right?
No.
Okay. So we'll move on to just some news. AHL team Milwaukee Admirals just announced they're going to do their own Shoresy game taking place on Saturday, February 18th during their game versus Texas. In attendance will be Joe Dolo and Andrew Ansonen. He plays goodie on Shoresy. So it looks like they're like franchising this Shoresy night idea to other hockey teams, and I don't know what the qualifications are for a team. Like it looks like Milwaukee makes sense because Dolo used to play there, so they could have him there in attendance.
They're the affiliate of the Nashville Predators who drafted Dolo.
Yeah, so so maybe that. So we'll see if this happens in other AHL arenas elsewhere. But for now, it's interesting. So if anybody who wished they'd gone to Sudbury for Shoresy night and couldn't and are looking for another opportunity, here's your opportunity. February, what did I say it was? February 18th in Milwaukee. Where's Milwaukee? It's in Wisconsin, right? So that's
Wisconsin.
Yeah. I don't know how far that is from us. We're certainly not going, but I know we've got a lot of friends in that vicinity. So if anybody goes, please, by all means, take pictures, share them with us because we'd love to see you guys doing that, and hunt down Dolo and get pictures with him like you guys did with JJ, Frankie JJ. And also, I mean, I already mentioned we've had an incredible run of guests. Max Buffard, Terry Ryan, Dolo. We interviewed him today. Ryan McDonald next week, who plays Mark Michaels. So, and we've got a few others lined up that are some interesting and exciting guests to come. So, stay tuned. And if you want to hear the interviews before they get dropped, become a patron because you'll be able to hear them right away. Like the Dolo interview is already live for our patrons. So if you
I like how you keep saying Dolo.
Dolo, yeah. He gave us permission to call him Dolo, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's all I have. So let's go around with final comments. I guess I have final comments. Start with me. Mike, great job tonight. And you were a last minute ad. Thank you so much for doing that. I know that I didn't give you much time, but I'm glad things worked out. Great job tonight. I love my panelists. I love that we're back to doing this. As much work as it is for me, this was a lot of fun. It feels like the old days again, except now Victor sounds better and is more ragey. So we're hoping that, when you get back to work, you don't lose some of that because you'll be tired again. But you guys, way to bring the energy tonight. Thank you so much. Victor?
Yeah, Mike, thanks so much. You were awesome, and thanks for putting me in my place when you had to. I appreciate that, and I admire that. So please.
We all admire that about you, Mike. Well done. Well done.
High school for almost 30 years.
No, I appreciate that. Don't hold back. I welcome feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel like we've seen each other too much, but it was nice to see Tanya tonight for sure.
It was nice to see you back, Victor, too. I mean, we've missed you for a while there. Tanya.
Mike, thank you so much for coming out. Just like the guy said, it's so wonderful, your point of view and all the notes that you've taken and having the chips and
the history lessons.
And the history lessons.
We appreciate
I never knew that it wasn't about chips. So that was good to know. I will pass that on to my children. I think it was a fun episode. It wasn't the top one, no, but it was fun. You know, Glenn's laugh snort is back, and you can't be disappointed about that. That's a fun thing, and yeah. I wish everyone a happy new year.
Oh, yes.
It's coming up, and it's great to be back to homework.
Matt?
Yeah, this episode did exactly what it's supposed to do. Drop conversation, and I was so good. Mike, you're absolutely the MVP of this episode. And based on the exact reason that Victor already called out, the fact that you just teachered him and put him in his place. Yeah. Well done, bud.
Yeah.
Bring it back again. You're more than welcome anytime.
Yes.
So I love these so much. These review episodes. I'm happy they're back. I love all the off-season stuff, but these are always so much fun. And especially because it's fresh for all of us. Not literally because we know where everyone landed, but it's new and exciting and something we haven't had a chance to talk about, and most people haven't. So I am so looking forward to the next 5 more weeks, I guess, and all the stuff in between that comes with it. And yeah, this is awesome, guys.
And Mike,
bring on season 11.
Mike.
Well, thanks for having me again. I feel like I've been here three times within like a month and a half. So definitely let's get other people's faces in here than my fat bearded face. But it was a pleasure, and being that it's vacation week, the short notice wasn't an issue. I've been off all week, like all teachers in schools. So this was actually the best time. Once I figured out that our nieces were going back to Texas, or one wouldn't be here, I thought they were going to stay over, but it's fine. So I actually had the time to do it yesterday, do my homework, which I did, and it was a great time.
Yeah.
And looking forward to New Year's Eve, where we will have our traditional Chinese food, and I will try to make my wife stay up till midnight. And she will not.
Wait a minute, I thought you were Catholic, not Jewish. Oh, that's for Christmas. Never mind. Sorry.
That was a bad joke.
We invite my brother over, and we eat Chinese food. And he goes home, and I try to say, "Hey, why don't you stay up?" And she's like, "Nope."
It must be the biggest sales day of the year for Chinese restaurants, because everybody I know has Chinese food on New Year's.
And when our place closes on Monday, and when New Year's Eve falls on a Monday, we were like scrambling a few years ago to find Chinese food. We're like, oh my God, where are we going to go? And every other place around us, except our place. But that's everyone's opinion. So anyway, Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
I'll see you all in the after party.
All right, and I just want to shout out to everyone on the live stream tonight. It was a busy live stream and a lively one, so everyone's in great mood and great form. So I'm going to play us off here with that song that made Victor's MVP. I had to Shazam it because it wasn't on TuneFind yet. I've added it to TuneFind, and I've added it to the Letterkenny playlist on Spotify.
You're a good man.
The song is called "The Tree" by Blitzen Trapper, featuring Alila Diane. Let's listen to this beauty for a second here.
When your love rains down, just like diamonds all around, a strange and changing sound, a transformation in the ground, a great and winding tree splits the earth from sea to sea, and my lover comes to me, bids me follow endlessly, as she laughs and starts to climb through the branches and the vines, through the tangle of our minds. For this tree, you see, it grows, never ending.
And that's all we have for this episode. Next week, we recap and review episode 2 of season 11, Okoya, with our buddy and co-writer of today's Alphabet Aerobics Open, Liz Hoopla. Anyway, don't forget to give our sponsor Diabolical Coffee some love. They're at diabolicalcoffee.com. Right now, you can use the promo code PROTESTAN for 20% off any purchase from their site. If you'd like to support this podcast, rate us on iTunes, Spotify, or become a patron. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Hive Social at Protestant Pod. Thank you for joining us. Now we're going to bust open a bag of all-dressed chips and hit the after party. On behalf of Mike, Tanya, Matt, Victor, and myself, thank you for listening and have a great week. And Happy New Year.
Must be blind if you're to see, must walk behind if you're to lead, must be the soil to the seed, never ending.
Trying to think of the Bob Dylan song this sounds.